So I'm using this as a mini lesson at the same time. Okay, to review. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so we have a bunch of weights here, and we know that they're in pounds. The pounds is lb. If you put lbs, that's fine. But state the mean to one decimal place. So the minimum I would like to see here, minimum amount of work is the number you get when you add them all up. And then it's 127.5 pounds if it's one decimal. I don't know why I put one decimal, but we'll go with it. Usually, like, if you're not sure, just do 2 decimals and then you'll be fine. Even if you did 2 here, you'll be fine. State the mode. The mode is 130 pounds because it shows up most often, right? It would have been easier to see when you arrange it. Quite often I will ask you to arrange it right from the get-go. Okay, just to, so state the median to 1 decimal. I will arrange it, and I'm pretty sure that most of you, if not all of you, needed to arrange it in the first place. So I think I'm going to make this out of 2 here for that extra step that was necessary, right? So I'm just going to write it down here: 122, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29, 130, 130, 130, and 131, right? So if you did that, you get a mark. I would find it very difficult to find a median without doing that. Okay, so we have 2, 4, we already know we have 10 values, right? So it's going to be 10 divided by 2 is the 5th and the 6th, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's these 2 here that it's going to be found in between. So it's 128 plus 129 divided by 2, right? And that is 128.5 pounds. That is your median. So this question is going to be worth 2, 1 for arranging, 1 for actually finding the median. Okay. All right. Next, we have a population of 1,200,000 and another with slightly bigger, well, slightly 3 times as big, right? So 2 different towns or cities. Can't be towns. If you're in the millions, you're a city, for sure. The following table shows the percentage of people who speak English as their first language. Can I just give you a practical, like, this is how it always works? Multiply categories, add them up, and then divide by something. Multiply categories, add them up, divide by something. Like, if you remember those 3 steps, that's why it's worth, usually it's worth 3 marks. For some reason, this is 2, which we can change. But so these are 2 categories here. So we're going to multiply these 2 and then multiply these 2. But before you do that, right? Well, let's go ahead and do that, right? So right next to it, I will 1,200,000, right? Times 84.6. Don't be scared of it. It is what it is, right? And then I take the other one and I multiply it by 65.3. I don't turn anything into a decimal. I don't know if you've noticed that. Okay. So you multiply them across like that. You don't want to go population times population. That doesn't work, right? You have to go, right, population times the percentage, right? Like 2 different categories are multiplying here, right, to get that. And then you need to add these 2 up. So to get the average, I will add up. I will go 101,520, right? 101,520,000. Right? You add those up. So if there had been 3 rows, you would have multiplied all 3, 4, whatever the case. So in this case, there is only 2, and then you have to divide it by something. So multiply, right? Step 1 is multiply. Step 2 is add. I don't know if you can see that there, but step 2 would be add everything up that you've just multiplied, add your products basically, and then you need to divide by something. And to do that, I do this. I look at what have I done. I went population times percentage, right? That's what I've done the whole time when I multiplied these two. So I need to divide by something. And before you do that, you figure out what are they asking me in the first place, right? So calculate the percentage of people. Calculate the percentage of people. That's what they want. Emphasis on percentage of people, right? So they want this to stay. They want that to stay here. So you need to divide by what was that? What is that? You need to divide by population so that it cancels out like that. That's how that's how you determine what to divide by. So I need to go and add up, right? The number of people like that, and that's what goes in the denominator. In other words, it's one of the columns that you're going to have to add up. But remember, I skipped this one. When you have percentages, what would you want to check for? If they add up to 100, right? Because if there's percentages and they add up to 100, boom, you don't even need to do this part. You just go and divide everything by 100, guaranteed, okay? So let's add these up. That gives us 3,044,724 over 4,000,000. Oh, sorry, I think I'm off, right? By 3 zeros. I did it slightly differently on my key, right? Is that no? Let me redo this. I am jumping all over the place here. So let's try that again. Let's try that again. So it's 304, 472, 400, right? Because if you add the 4 here with that one, you should have a 4 there. That's where I knew that I made a mistake there. So anyways, you have those two, and now you divide. So you go divide it by 4,308,000, and you get 70.68%. Why percent? Because I'm expecting that to remain, right? I'm expecting that to stay. Those are the units that remain. So on average, between those two cities, 70.68% speak English as their first language. Okay, so this is gonna be worth 3, guys, for sure. So I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna strike that out of 2 and make it worth 3. And here is how I'm going to give you marks, okay? If I see that you've multiplied, like if I see these two values, you would get 1. If I see you adding them up, you get another 1. And if I see you dividing it by the correct number, you get the 3rd mark. That's kind of how I mark it on a test. Did you multiply? 1 mark. Did you add them up? Right? Those products. And then did you divide by the right column, right? That's important. So this page is now worth 3 and 2 is 5, 6, 7. This page is worth 7 marks. So put a mark out of 7 at the bottom of that page. It's 7 because I changed 1C, I made it out of 2. Backside. That's when you had to apply what you learned yesterday. Okay, so pay close attention here. In a school, there's 236 students that wrote a test. Jesse scored 60 out of 93 on the test. Right? So I'm going to highlight that part, 60 out of 90 on a test. Right? And then I know that 127 students scored lower than him. than Jesse. State Jesse's percentile rank. So for percentile rank, remember what you need. The formula calls for B, which is the number of students that scored lower than, in this case, Jesse, out of what? There are 236 students total, right? This is basically N, and this part is B, right? But 127 is B, and I'm going to multiply that by 100. So you go 127 divided by 236, and that is times 100, sorry. That's 53.8, and that keeps going. And we just go arrow, right? We will round it to the 54th percentile, or you can say PR 54. Doesn't matter. So state Jesse's mark. Jesse's mark on the so the mark would be 60 out of 93. The way you always calculate it when you write a test or quiz or whatever, and we're going to multiply that by 100. 60 divided by 93 times 100, so 64.52%. I know that on a test I would round that to probably 65%, but it's okay here. How can we combine these two results? This tells me that 54% of students scored less than Jesse, which, right? Or you could also say scored less than 64.52% on the test. Okay. All right. Next, Braden is a Winnipeg real estate agent who has sold 6 houses in the last 5 weeks. The selling prices were as follows. State the mean. So we're going to find the average. I'm going to just go on my key here to make it a little bit faster. So if you add up everything, that's this divided by 5. No, sorry, 6. 6 houses that are being considered. So that's 544,000. You have to have a dollar sign to get the full marks here. Okay. So that's just your normal average. Okay. State the trimmed mean by removing the highest and the lowest values. If it's like that, guys, don't even don't think about it too much. Don't arrange it. I'm telling you what to do. So you go up here, and so the 87 is removed here, and the 1,877,000 is removed there. How would you show your work here? It really doesn't matter which way you do it. I will take away the really expensive house from the previous total, right? Because I'm removing it. And I will also remove the 87,000 from my previous total, right? And now you only have 4 houses that you're considering. So that is 1,300,000 divided by 4, which then in turn gives you 325,000 average. Okay, so my averages, like the trimmed mean, which is also a way of calculating the average, has gone down, right? Justify which mean would be a better indicator of the average selling price. The trimmed mean, right? If you justify the trimmed mean, right? Because the very expensive, right? The outliers are outside the usual price ranges, or something like that. You can say that the outliers are rare, like having a house on the market that's 1,877,000. It's not common to have that, not yet. Hopefully never. But yeah, I don't know if you follow the housing market, but in Toronto, it's gone down. Like it's the second the second quarter already where the prices actually are dropping, and it's because the interest rates are going up. People just cannot borrow enough money to keep up with the price increase, right? So if there's a lot of houses, then people have choices. So now the owners are slowly dropping their prices because they're not selling, right? Supply and demand, right?
In other words, people still aren't buying.
Well, they were buying like crazy. In Winnipeg, it's still very much upwards, the trend. But in Toronto, which is the hottest market in the world, one of the hottest markets in the world up until now, it's cooling off, right? So is it going to come here? Probably. Okay, last one. This one, if you understand percentile rank, you should have been able to answer this one. They want to know the percentage of people that earn between 70,000 and 90,000. And so this is how you do it. 70,000 right here, if you're in the 50th percentile, that means that there are 50%, right, of families that make less than that. If you're in the 90,000 range here, that means that 85% of people, because it puts you in the 85th percentile, at this income, 85% of families earn less. So what you need to do is to figure out what's in here, you need to take 85, right, and then go minus 50, right? So 85% minus 50%. And so that leaves you with 35% of families that make between 70,000 and 90,000 there. So that's a mark for that one. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is out of 6. Actually, sorry. I meant to say this here. For the trimmed mean question, 4B, we're going to make that worth more. I'm going to make that worth 2 marks. 1 mark you're going to get for the correct top number, right? And then 1 more mark for the correct final answer, which means you would have had to change the 6 to a 4, right? So 2 marks for 4B, which makes this page worth 7 after all. So 7 and 7 is 14, right? Yeah. You went 35 divided by 85? And what did you get? Like you got some same answer? Okay, so 35 out of the 85 that are below. Okay, yeah. I see where you got that from, but you came up with the 35, which is that you were basically doing the same thing as us. Yeah. Okay. Okay, 7 and 7 is 14. So change that out of 11, make that out of 14. Name and last name, pass it forward.